What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Justin Falck. Previously have gone by Justin Thomas, so if you recognize me from that name, I am the owner of Insurance Advertising Masters, and today we are going to go over ad copy and how you can use words to sell a ton of insurance, get a ton of appointments, ton of leads, and really start to scale your business. But it all starts with understanding how to use the written word in order to create conversions. And a lot of times when people hear copy, becoming a copywriter, being good at copywriting, they always think, hey, I'm not a good writer. Well, I can tell you first and foremost that I hate writing. Copywriting is not about actually writing. It's definitely not about grammar. All it is about is idea warfare. Whoever has the best ideas wins. And so that's all that copy is about. It's understanding persuasion, the elements of persuasion. It's understanding people's pain points, and it's understanding what you can do and what you provide that's going to bring a solution to them, putting that all into ideas and putting it together. So typically copywriting isn't even writing, it's putting things together. So let's get into it. Okay, cool. So what are we gonna cover in this video? So this video is called Become an Ad Copy Expert. We're gonna cover what is ad copy, what makes great ads, pain points, which is really the thing that gets people to move, gets people out of homeostasis and actually take action, get people to take action, don't reinvent the wheel, and then finally we're gonna finish with a great ad formula. And a little bonus, we're gonna throw a whole bunch of AI in the mix to make things easier, because AI is so prevalent these days, it's so easily available, and to just ignore it, even though there are some ad copy purists, and at times I have been that person, but it's just ignorant to ignore it and not use it. So I'm just gonna show you guys how to use Chat GPT to write an ad for you, but then you guys are gonna wanna take everything we learned at the beginning of this video and then apply it to put some spice on Chat GPT's ad copy for you. All right, let's jump in. What is ad copy? Well, ad copy is the text or wording involved in an ad, but that makes us ask the question, what is an ad? Copy is used in literally everything that we do on a daily basis. If you are performing the things that most people in 2023 do, if you're on social media, if you post to Instagram, if you post to Facebook, if you post to LinkedIn, if you ever send an email to a prospect, if you ever send a text message to a prospect, those are all forms of copy, but people don't realize it. And then when they hear the word ad copy, they get all jumbled up and they think, oh, I'm not a good writer. But the fact is, if you can actually apply this to every single time that you are using written word in order to move a sale further along, you'll get better at everything when it comes to sales. So the other piece of this is copy is just sales in written form. And so that's why a lot of the times when I see agents get a little bit confused or worried when it's involving that you have to now write your own copy and you have to be the ones that are taking over marketing, you see a lot of agents that throw their hands up and say, hey, I just want to do sales. I don't want to treat this as a business. I just want to do sales. And to me, it doesn't make a lot of sense because they are fearing something that they have created as a problem in their mind, when literally if they just want to do sales, copy is just the written form of sales. So that's all that it is. And we use it every single day. And when we create Facebook ads or we create YouTube ads, the script of the video, that's copy as well too. It can make a ton of money for us. But not only that, as you get better at it, as you learn it, as you understand the things that make people take action and move forward in a sale, every other piece of your life where you're using written word, texting the written word, those will start to convert better as well too, as you advance your skills with copy. Okay, next up, what makes great ads? What are the pieces compiled together to make great ads? Well, the first thing to understand is that people do not buy products. They just don't. What they're buying in every single scenario is they're buying solutions. And they're buying the solutions that your products solve. So anytime somebody buys anything, it's because of the solution for them. It's either making their life easier, it's making them more money, it's allowing them to save money. There are certain hierarchical needs. I don't think I said that right, but there's like a pyramid that talks about all the needs and all that stuff. And those are what humans always want to be making sure those things are taken care of. So when you get to any sort of product, it doesn't matter. It can be a physical product, it could be a computer, it could be the phone that's in my pocket, it could be this marker. It's not about the product, it's about the solution. And once you figure that out, you can start to appeal to people's nature so much easier, rather than just talking about, oh, hey, this is made of plastic and it has some felt on the end. Like, people don't care about that. They care more about like what it does. Literally with anything, any product. And the same thing is true with your insurance products. And so a lot of people get stuck addressing the market that is incredibly like solution aware, which is a very small percentage of the market. And they talk about the differences of their products and they just talk about the products, but very few people actually care about that. And what people actually care about is what type of problem it's going to solve. So when I took the insurance exam years ago, I remember the definition from the insurance exam is, why was life insurance, or why were insurance products created in the first place? And the answer is risk mitigation, to spread out risk, which honestly, the way that the exam describes it and probably how it was invented and what it was invented for back in hundreds and hundreds of years ago is probably one of the most boring things to this day. And so if you try to describe it the way that it's described in the insurance exam, it's not going to convince a lot of people. But we need to figure out, our job is to then take that and figure out a way to apply that to what solution is that creating for people. And the great thing with insurance is that one product can actually be a different solution for 10 different people or 3 different people. There's multiple different solutions from each product, so you need to figure out, what do your potential prospects care about the most, and then we need to appeal that product to that solution. The best way to do this to starting out is to realize that you guys are all salespeople. If you are an insurance professional, you're watching this video, you've sold products before, you've been given a script by somebody that's teaching you something, you've done a sales call before, the best way to create copy, just to start out and really start thinking about it, is what is the stuff that you're saying already on a day-to-day basis. So when you're in front of somebody and you're going through your presentation, what are the things that you are saying? When you meet somebody on the street and they ask you what you do and you describe what you're doing and you notice that you actually got someone's attention, what did you say to get someone's attention? And then the other thing around that is, most insurance agents live off of referrals. Now, I don't think that that's the greatest way to scale, but I haven't ever come across an insurance agent that hasn't heard of the concept of referrals. And so when you get a referral, or when you talk to a friend or family, what is it that you are saying that is getting their attention, that is getting them to book an appointment with you? Those are the things that you're already most likely using to describe this boring topic of risk mitigation and creating it into solution-oriented wording. Just take those things that are already in your brain and write them down, and you're gonna have some foundations to start with. Next part, and this one's huge. So now that we have those foundations down, we've kind of written down some of the things that we're naturally saying just to get a base. A huge goal, and really one of the main goals of the hook in getting attention, is that you need to agitate the problem. And we're gonna get into this on the next slide, I guess, if you call these slides. But the next slides, we're gonna get into pain points, because those allow you to figure out what you're gonna be talking about as the main thread through the ad. But once you figure out a pain point, we need to agitate the problem. We need to actually make it so that when somebody's reading your ad, when they read the hook of your ad, you get their attention. You want them to truly feel pain. You want to evoke an emotion through whatever you've written. So you want to make sure that you understand people's pains in the first place, and then you want to understand, what about that pain is it that keeps them lying awake at night? Or what about that pain is it that keeps them from hiding something from their spouse, or it's creating shame in them, right? Because at the end of the day, we have something that can solve the pain for them. And if we can't find something that's actually causing these sort of emotions, then people aren't gonna move. They're gonna stay in homeostasis. They're gonna stay comfortable where they are. So we need to cause and agitate pain in the first place. The second thing is that we then need to present yourself and your solution, but it really needs to be yourself. Yourself as the broker, as the agent, is the solution. If you just talk about products, then what separates you from the next insurance agent or the other millions of insurance agents out there? What separates you from them? If you just talk about products, nothing. So that's why you need to set yourself apart and realize what's different about you to the market and niche that you want to go after. And you need to present yourself as the best and only solution. And if you do a good job of both of these two things, you're going to get conversions. You're going to get people that become leads. And they're not only going to become leads in general, they're going to be leads that come to you specifically. So how do we do that? Well, it starts by just figuring out how you're different and what are the main things that you want to focus on. And then realizing like what type of service do you provide that's better than the average insurance agent? You know, what else could you put into your service that's different from the average insurance agent? Any of these things that we can do to create you as the solution and differentiate it from everyone else is going to make your ad copy stronger. That's where we get back to idea warfare, right? It doesn't come down to how eloquently you can write a sentence. It comes down to you spending time thinking before writing anything. And that's what creates the ad copy, the ideas. And it starts with positioning and what's different about you and all of that other stuff. And that goes into the ad copy to make a great ad. What are some of the problems when it comes to these examples? So final expense, some of the problems that people are going to run into is the cost of burial. One, it's expensive. Two, it's constantly going up. Most of the people that are buying final expense insurance have been in a position where they're not going to be able to afford it if they don't have something in place. So the fact that they can't afford it when they pass away or their spouse passes away, what it's going to do is burden their family. And so we need to come up with sentences that are going to take the problem and evoke an emotion around it and create a story or a sentence. And so instead of just saying like, you know, funerals or final expenses are expensive, you can say something like, don't burden your family by making them be the one person on the block that has to put up the GoFundMe page in order to fund your funeral and final expenses. Just a few more sentences, a few pieces of things that like they've experienced in their life can make the wording so much stronger. When you put a real experience into that as compared to just like stating the problem, that's another thing that gets people to move. You know, Medicare Example, if we were writing an ad and we were just talking about Medicare, a lot of people will just talk about education about Medicare. But if we think about what is something that somebody may be staying awake at night thinking about as they're nearing the age of 65 and they know that they need to get on Medicare, but it's something that they're worried about. Well, one thing that constantly comes to mind with Medicare is maybe they really have been working for the last 40 years to then when they retire, they actually want to go travel the world. They've been putting off this European vacation for years and years and years. And now they're turning 65. They're going to lose the health insurance they've had through their employer for years that has been great. And they're concerned that, man, if I'm overseas, what am I going to do about health insurance to make sure that I'm covered? Because I know that if I'm not covered and something happens to me, that can be one of the biggest bankrupters when you're over the age of 65. So painting that picture of the fact that like that is a problem, that's probably something they're thinking about. And there's many other examples, but that's just a quick one I can think of right now. So again, get into the problems, but create a story around them. So on the last slide, we talked about agitating the pain, but in order to agitate the pain, we need to know what the pain point is in the first place. And so pain points are really important because they're great breaking points to write different ads about. So a key to a great ad is that they really only have like one main idea or one big idea. And so a lot of people can come up with one ad because they take every single pain that they've ever thought about the prospect experiencing and every single benefit that they've ever thought about the product, and they put that all into one ad. But then from there, they're like, well, how would I write a second ad? I just put everything I know about my entire job and my career into this ad right now. And that actually creates a problem. Those typically don't convert as well because you end up confusing the prospect. And so what we want to do is we want to have different and multiple ads because that allows us to create scale as we want to spend more money, get more leads, advertise for longer periods of time. We need to continue to create new ad copies. And the best way I've found to do that, especially just starting out to keep things simple, is to separate them by pain points. And so a really good exercise to do this is I would just go through, block out an hour on your calendar, and start writing down every single pain point you can think about the product you want to generate leads for. So if that product is final expense, or if the product is leads for Medicare Advantage, or leads for Medicare Supplement, or leads for ACA, or leads for a term policy, right? All of these things are pretty simple. They're not too complex. And so most of the reasons that people are buying these products isn't necessarily a what's in it for me, it's to solve a problem. So start by figuring out all the problems it solves, but then that's going to create the pains, because the pains are what makes things a problem in the first place, and a pain is an emotion, and that's what we want to lean on. So just start writing out every single thing that you can think of. So for final expense, it's going to cover burial. Burial is going to be expensive. Being able to pay a fraction of that into a premium will save money. So that's not a problem, that's kind of a solution, but solutions we can reverse those or invert them to create the pains. That don't want to leave family burdened with money. If we're going for like term policies that have a much bigger death benefit that could potentially bring hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. I want my kids to be able to go to a certain college. I want my spouse to be able to continue to provide for the kids. I want my spouse to be able to continue to stay in the home that they have grown up in if something happens to me. Those are all huge pains. Now they're distant pains. So another great thing to do while doing this exercise is what is a future pain and what's an instant pain? Because if you can get instant pains, those are so much more powerful to get people to move. So exercise, block out an hour, 30 minutes, and start writing every pain you can think of around the product. And then go choose the ones that are the most weight. The ones, and ask somebody that is a potential prospect. And if you can't think of pains, then just interview somebody in the first place and ask them what their pains are to get the ideas rolling. Or go to Chat GPT and do product research from there. But point is, there's so many different ways to figure out what the pains are. You can think of it yourself, you can talk to people, you can go do market research, whatever it is, get a list, and then do more market research to find out what are the biggest weighty ones that really are weighing on people, and choose those 3. And those will become your first 3 different ad angles or ad copies. Okay, cool. Now let's get into 2 important things: how to get people to take action, and then on the right side is don't reinvent the wheel. So these are just really important things to remember as you are writing ad copy or any sort of sales copy in general. But especially with an ad, the number one way to get people to take action is to provide massive value for free and to expect nothing in return. And if you can figure out how to do that for insurance, you win. So when it comes to, we're gonna get into the formula here in a second, but if we get people's attention, we touch on the pain, we focus on the solution, we have to finish with something that's going to be enticing no matter what. Otherwise, they won't take action. They'll just sit in pain forever, and we don't want to do that. We want them to sit in pain in order to take action, so we have to incentivize them and entice them to take action. And so how this is traditionally done, how it's almost always ever been done, is get a quote, right? And so that's a bit overplayed, but one of the great things that we can start doing is, if these products have natural education around them, a desire for education, that is a great way to entice people to move and take the next step, which is clicking and getting whatever the next thing is. Another thing that tends to work really well, instead of quote for final expense, seeing if you qualify or seeing what you qualify for tends to work pretty well, because at this point you have been solution oriented. They're just gonna want the product. People don't really have a massive desire around final expense. They just want to solve the solution. So seeing if or what they qualify for can be enough to entice them. Now, if you're getting into products like Medicare, especially for turning 65 people, there's a huge desire for education around that. And that's why webinars and seminars crush. Another time, you can have a guide. So if you're doing cash value life insurance and you want to create a guide or a PDF in order to show them how they could use their cash value policies in order to fund properties or deals or any of that type of stuff, people will go crazy for those types of guides, because anything that you can put effort into and create like a physical product around, which becomes a lead magnet, gets them to become a lead, which then can also get them to become an appointment and then sales for you. But if you can take something that is in your brain and turn it into something physical, even if it's digital, people are still excited about that. So any of those types of things that you can take from your brain and put it in something that people can consume, that creates massive value for people. And that's what's gonna get them to actually take action once you've created the pain, solution orientation, all that stuff we talked about first. Next thing to note, just don't reinvent the wheel. The best copywriters, they're not sitting there starting from scratch every single time on a blank canvas. Almost nobody does that. So you don't need to do that just to feel like you're a purist or whatever. Literally, almost nobody does that. So create from inspiration. Get some inspiration first. At this point in 2023, this was probably true 23 years ago in 2020. It was probably true 70 years ago in 1950, but there's not much going around that is completely new, that somebody just woke up one day, brand new thought of it. Like there was nothing that inspired it in the first place. That really just doesn't exist in this day and age. Almost everything has been thought of, but we can think of ways to reconstruct it that's going to be way more enticing to people. But we need to have great inputs in order to create great outputs. So first things first is use current ads for inspiration. The best way to do this is to just make your own swipe file. So as you're going through, start searching websites that are in your niche. If you want to do final expense, start searching websites that are in final expense. Start searching the internet. And at some point, you're going to get pixeled, which means you're going to get tracked by the advertiser, and you're going to start seeing ads from that advertiser. And as soon as you start seeing ads from one advertiser, Facebook is like, hey, this person likes this, they're interacting with it, they're reading it, maybe they like it, maybe they click it. Let's show them a ton more ads. So that's going to happen. But it's a good thing when you are trying to run ads for your business, because all of those ads that are running, people are spending money on. And if people are spending money continuously on ads, it usually means they're working. So when you guys see ads, first off, obvious ones, if they're in the exact space that you want to advertise in, then use those for inspiration. But oftentimes, the people that are in your exact niche, your exact space you want to advertise in, are not the best advertisers. So also look at other ads outside of your niche and use those, and create what's called a swipe file. So when you see an image ad or a video ad come across your screen, take a screenshot on your phone. Or if you have an Apple, I'm sure Google phones or Android phones have this as well, but with Apple, you can screen record your phone as well too. So start capturing this stuff so that you have a file that you can go through. You can also use the Facebook ad library. Just go to Google, search Facebook ad library, and you can go in there and just search for keywords and see what's running. But a swipe file is much more powerful because you can't always find everything when you do Facebook ad library. But when you start seeing what's being shown to you, that's clearly money is being spent on it. And if you don't know, if it's a Facebook ad, it says the little word sponsored right under the page name when it comes across your feed. So start making your own swipe file. A little note is that everything works a little, nothing works a lot, and if it's working now, it probably won't for long. So the things that you see working, this is a great reason to why you shouldn't just copy paste things that are working. You will saturate it, and then you'll constantly be in a reactionary state. And if you're watching this video, it means that you want to be great at this, you want to scale your business, you want to make a lot of money, you want to be successful, create time so you can spend time with your loved ones and your family. And in order to do that, we don't want to run a business from a point of reaction, we want to run a business from a point of being proactive about things. So, with that being the case, don't just copy everybody's stuff, because then you'll always be reacting to it and having to go find new things to copy. What you should do is use it for inspiration and then make it better. And the best way to create and make something better is through small changes, not necessarily massive changes. If something's working, it means that there's a positive DNA strand in that ad that is clearly evoking an emotion, it's talking about the right solution, it has all of the pieces we've talked about up until this point. So your job is to dissect that and figure it out, and then use those as inspiration to create a new ad. That's the best way to not reinvent the wheel. All right, awesome. We have arrived at the great ad formula. So I'm going to go through this quickly, and then we're going to have Chat GPT write us an example, and I'm just going to show you a few prompts that you can put in there, and then take that and apply all of the stuff that we've talked about up until this point to it to turn it into a great ad. Don't just take what they have, copy and paste it. I promise you, if you apply everything that we talked about up to this point, your conversions will be so much better. Your cost per lead will be cheaper, your cost per acquisition will be cheaper, your profits will be higher. Please take the time to apply all of this other stuff, because the human element is where the profits are made. So, great ad formula. First, short, sweet headline that creates intrigue. Don't spend a ton of characters. You don't have a ton of characters on almost all these platforms. Just something that's going to get attention and something that's going to just create intrigue. Those are two of the highest leverage points that you can leverage when writing a headline. All right, number two, evidence of social proof. So something that's just implied social proof can make an ad go a long way. So hundreds of Omaha residents have already applied, something like that. There's plenty of other ways to create social proof, but having something that is going to imply or prove that there's social proof that other people in similar situations have taken action on this before, really helps with an ad. It helps create credibility. It creates proof so that any of your claims have something to stand on. It's a really important piece. 3, we're going into strong value proposition. So this is where we're talking about the solution orientation. We're not just talking about benefits of your product. If we're going to like simplified issue insurance, final expense, or simplified issue term insurance, you could list the benefits, something like no medical, or instead of just saying no medical, you could say, get on with your day and skip the hassle of no medical exams, no getting poked with needles, none of that stuff. See how we're creating it to be a value proposition for them instead of just listing out benefits? We're turning it into something that they're going to be able to visualize. They're going to actually see the benefits of that. 4, great creatives and images. It's just really important that you have something that's going to get attention. We'll do a full new video on creatives and the actual images in the ad because that's really important, but that is a huge piece of this ad formula. And 5, action-oriented, time-restrictive call to action. So click the button below to see if you qualify now, or if you want to add some sort of scarcity. Typically you don't want to do false scarcity. I just don't like doing that. I don't like lying in any of my advertisements. I want to create real scarcity. So if you're doing a webinar, there's only a certain amount of appointments you or your team or your agents could take in a week. So claim your seat for the webinar now. Only 40 slots available for appointments this week. They're filling up fast. Something like that, so you can add real scarcity, can really get people to move, take action. Okay, so now we're gonna jump into the computer quick and we're gonna ask Chat GPT to write us an ad. One thing that you're gonna see if you guys go and look up tutorials in Chat GPT, most of the time, they're gonna spend most of their time on here. And I really think that that's a mistake because where most of the profits are made, where most of the conversions are made is you applying these principles that we just talked about and marketing principles to the base. And so again, it's ignorant to ignore it and to just not use it at all. So let's use it and let's use it as a base. And then from there, we apply all the things that we just learned. So I'm just gonna show you guys how simple it is for those of you that have never used AI, that have never used Chat GPT, or those of you that have dabbled in it, or some of you may have been using it a ton but haven't seen the results you want, and that's because we're missing the application of all of the concepts behind an ad that gets it to crush. So guys, just go Google how to sign up for Chat GPT. Sometimes they have a waiting list, sometimes there's ways to get past the waiting list, sometimes it's easy as just signing up, but just go Google that real quick, make an account, and then right over here, we'll just tell Chat what to do for us. So I'm gonna type this in real quick and then we'll be right back. All right, so I already have my prompt typed in. Basically, you just tell Chat GPT what you want it to do. This is a super simple one. I wrote, write me an ad for final expense burial insurance that I can use for a Facebook ad. I could talk about a certain pain point. I could tell it a certain pain point. I could literally put an entire formula in here. There's so many different things you can do with Chat GPT. I'm keeping it super simple. If you guys want a full tutorial on like all the prompts that can be used for Chat GPT, for ad copy, for sales pages, for emails, for any of that stuff, I could do a full tutorial for market. It's great for market research. If you want a full tutorial on that, let's put Chat GPT in the comments. If I get enough, then I'll know you guys are interested. We'll make that video. So I'm just gonna press enter and it gets to work for me. So, okay, that was 5 seconds. You guys can see right here, it wrote a pretty decent sized ad. I am a fan of longer copy. And yeah, all we would do right here is we would just read this. We would go through, make sure that all the information in here is correct. And then we're gonna wanna go through and add all the stuff that we talked about up till this point, take it over to a Google Doc, put it in there, edit it, add a lot of these concepts so that we can make sure that it's built for conversions, and then you're good to go. And then if you guys wanna write more, use those pain points as different threads for different angles. You can also like come in here and say, that's great, write me 5 more like this with different angles, and that may be able to spit you out some more as well too. There's so many different prompts. But this is the last thing I wanted to get to because this is where most people start and where most people end. And I want you guys to understand the things that really make ChatGPT and AI powerful is the human element and being able to provide our stories, our experiences, the things that we've learned from being insurance agents and actually in the field, talking to these people. You apply that stuff mixed with these concepts to this baseline AI, and that's where you get real results that crush it. All right, guys, I hope you found this video valuable. This is one of the most important things that I've ever learned is how to just take sales, take what I know about customers and turn it into written word that converts. Out of every single skill that I have, this is the one that's the most valuable. This is the thing that makes it so that I know if my business goes away, if my insurance business goes away, I will never not be able to provide for my family because I can use words to make money. And not only make money, but to get people to move and solve their problems. Creating great copy is such an amazing skill. It's not taught. Like, you can't go to college and get a degree in copy that converts. You can become a copywriter, but typically that's just kind of like proofreading and writing things. It's very corporate speak. But this type of copywriting, this direct response to get people to take action, is one of the highest leverage skills that you could ever develop. I don't care what you think your job is. If you're just sales, this is sales. This is sales in print. This is sales in writing. And how many times in your sales job, in your sales duties, are you typing something? Are you texting out a message? Are you putting a caption on a post? So take it seriously and watch your income soar. Watch how it affects your business, your life, and everything. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button. If you guys are getting value, then hit the bell so you can get notified when we come out with new content as I continue to make these videos for you guys. And as I mentioned before, join the Facebook group if you want interactive discussion with these types of videos. I'll see you in there. Otherwise, if not, I'll see you guys on the next one.